everybody. Today's project is my shed. A shed. Fun. I'm so happy to be working on this. This is my shed. Looks nice, you know. Walls are good. A little wood rot there because there was no siding on that side because it was up against the house. So I'm gonna replace some of that board and then put new siding on. It's got like that masonite siding on it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually jack this up. I'm gonna jack up this shed right off the ground, and you can kind of see where Dum Dum is standing there. Hey Murphy, can you move, buddy? Yeah, you're on camera. All right. You can kind of see the separation right there. Not much. I'm just testing it out, and I'll show you in the backside. So we're gonna jack this up and build a new frame for underneath it. That rotted piece of wood was the original framing of the floor. And then that bottom one there, I think that was a 4x4 in the ground. It's obviously sunk in. And this thing is so off level, it's crazy. It's just sunk in the back so bad. Alright, let's go around to the back. You can see there is a scissor jack and a 2x10. I put some nice long, I think they're 5-inch, I think they're 5/8, and they're really long, so they go right through the 2x4 on the inside. But as you can see, this thing is sunk and it's cutting right into the ground. So once I get it jacked up far enough, I'll put some supports underneath that, just like you would a car. The plan is to get this up 15 inches or so. 12 to 15 inches, build a new frame, and just slide the frame in. So it's jacked up. This is actually, I know it looks really weird like this, but it's actually level right now. When the shed was built, it was built right, as far as I know. You put 4x4s underneath, and then you build a floor on top of that. My scissor jacks did not work so good. So that one's not too bad, but they start twisting. So if you don't go straight up on all four, then they will twist. And I was jacking up just a little bit at a time, maybe a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, I can't remember. But that works better. So basically a bottle jack, and I got my car jack. That way if they start to pivot, I can relieve one with the other jack and then reposition like the bottle jack. But it's gonna need the scissor jack when it comes down, because you have to come down slow, and you can't do that with a bottle jack or car jack. Okay, back recording, and I have progress. As you can see, everything is jacked up. I'm gonna use a sawzall and just cut evenly all the way across the bottom of the wall, all the way around. If it cuts through the siding, yeah, fine. So I might just cut along the bottom and just replace the bottom part and then put new siding on. Yeah, you can see right down the side here that the front of the shed actually shifted in towards the house. So as you can kind of see the 4x4 there, and it's sticking out. I have all the old rotted wood off, the plywood that was on the outside, you know, because it was basically resting on that. So I will need to eventually remove some of these planks, these pieces of siding right here, extend the plywood down, getting the 4x4s in. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. I'm just getting tired, just want to get done. So I notched my 4x4s a little bit like that. I'm gonna just put a screw through that one and see how it goes. I had to do a voiceover here because I had audio playing in the background, showing the 4x4s being all leveled off. They're all good to go. And now I have this 6x6 that I had in the shed before I started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig that into the ground in the center of the shed as an extra support for the 2x6s going across. So I'm gonna dig it into the ground right there where I'm showing. There is my 6x6 in the ground, all leveled off, and I packed the rocks around it so it wouldn't budge. Okay, so I got less than half the frame built, but it's too heavy for me to pick up. So I just got the one end, and these two just can't keep it straight. So what I did is I wrapped this around one of the joists. You got it to slide in a little bit, and I just used this to pull it in, slide it. So the rest of them I'll nail together on the outside. So there's my 4. All the joists are in the joist hangers. As you can see, I got the shed jacked up just enough so when I put my plywood underneath, and this side over there is actually higher, but when I put my plywood on, I'm not going to have to lower it too much. I put these in, and I said I was going to put them in the back, but why not put them in the front? Because this is where you walk. It's just going to make it seem a lot stronger when you first walk in. So I moved them to the front rather than the back. I wasn't thinking about that. So I used joist hangers on every other one, and then these ones, so I nailed these ones in from the sides, and then I used joist hangers on every other one, you know, because you can't get them all in, you know. So I'm sure that makes sense to you. I used 5/8 instead of 3/4, because 3/4 was like $40 a sheet for the junk stuff. I did not use pressure treated. Probably should have. I'll probably get comments about that, but I did stain the underneath. So the new plywood will come down, you know, right down to the 4x4. In that section, the hard part will be getting the siding off and then getting it back on. So I might have to buy a couple of new ones. I'm sure I'm going to break a few, but I'm going to take at least 2 off. Okay, so we are back cutting the bottom part off. So I slid, it was real easy to slide the siding off. I just wiggled it and it popped right out. That is ready to go. So I just took my circular saw, cut straight down. I got about a 2-foot gap down to the ground. So the new plywood will go all the way down. Okay, so I had to move the shed towards the front like a ½ inch, and instead of putting my 2x10s on the back and jacking the whole thing up and trying to push it forward, came up with a smarter idea, much simpler too. I put this board going across, I just nailed it, worked, and I just took the weight off of that wall with one jack right in the center. Then what I did is I came down here and I put a block of wood and nailed it into the stud underneath. And I put a bottle jack and then a board pushing on one of the 2x4s on this wall, and the whole thing just slid. It just slid forward. So I mean, you can shift your whole shed around on the floor by using a bottle jack, a block of wood, and 2x4 or something. That's all I did. So I got that corner back into place, so that is like near perfect, and I don't have this huge gap on the outside over here. So I just had to bring this corner in, that corner was already good, and that corner was already good. I have my door back on, and so I put cedar plank boards around and got it all caulked in. This board is in, and I am working on this small section right here. So I'm going to use the original siding from the sides, and I'm going to cut smaller pieces out of them to do this side and that side. So I have this masonry blade. As you see, there's no teeth on it. It's just like a grinding disc, but it's made for circular saws. So that's what I'm using, that and my my square, to cut these. So these are the sections that have already been used. There's some nail holes where they got pulled out, so I'm just not going to use those same holes. Don't know how to put this stuff on. It's like hardy board, so I'm just going to pre-drill the holes. I did test a piece and it cracked, so I'm going to pre-drill and use some galvanized nails, because I am going into pressure treated down below. So I'm going to get more siding to finish up the other two sides, and maybe the one side that's never finished. I made this rig on my neighbor's trailer. The gate's supposed to go up, and it doesn't go flat, so I put some blocks under there so it doesn't bend the hinges, and I just rigged some stuff up with some screws and 2x4s, 12-foot 2x4s. I didn't put a stopper up there because mine's not long enough. My 2x4s aren't long enough, just shy of like 12 feet. So, but I did put a stopper obviously in the back, and I'll still strap them down. I want to show my newest jig that I made. So these boards are 8 1/4. The boards that came off are 7 1/2, so there's a little bit of a difference. Could have just used these, but by the time I slide them up, if I want to keep the same amount of spacing, the bottom board, or the one that's on there now, will be jacked out more, because the one sliding up underneath it will be slid up farther. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting them down a little bit. I'm just shaving off a little bit. Well, here, this is how much I'm shaving off. So I put the board here, right up against the stopper. Then I put these boards on top of the siding, and then this little trim piece holds this flat, so it pinches it in there. And then I take the saw and I cut, and the saw rides along this edge here, so it just gives me a nice even cut all the way down through. It takes like 4 or 5 minutes just to cut that piece. So as you can see, I got the bottom one on. The bottom one did not get trimmed at all. It's actually just hanging down a little bit lower. So bottom one is not trimmed. 2, 3, and 4 will be trimmed a little bit, and the very last one might be trimmed even more. I don't know, because like I said, I don't want the original one to stick out too far. I don't want it to stick out any farther than, you know, what they are now. And if you push a piece of siding up too far, it's going to stick out farther. So that's the whole trick. Here's the front of the shed. So I got the trim pieces in around the door and on the corner. This is the last piece to go in. Slides up underneath, and obviously you can't lift this up to nail underneath it, so I'm putting the nails right at the very bottom, and I'm using this as like a nail punch, because it's flat and it seems to grab it really well. This is it, guys, all done. So I still got to put some probably put some rocks, I guess, up along the edge. So I got it all painted. And see if we can see from the side here. So this side was never sided. So I redid that. The boards are just a little bit taller than the originals, so I didn't have to use as many, but it worked out pretty good. Same door, different handle. Before there was really not a handle. just the big lock up here. So I put this guy in, which I like it. So when it turns, it just latches onto the piece of wood in here. I put the metal strip down. I still got to build a ramp, so that'll be a different day. I'll step back out because I don't have much of a wide angle. There's the floor. I also put a vent in up there. I'm going to put another one on the back side because I did seal it up pretty well. Take you around to the back side. It's the same. But as you can see, the boards blend in really good. Like I said, I put another vent in up at the top, but it's not sunk into the ground anymore. So there you go. That's how you save your shed.